Well, what we're doing here today in this fantastic venue, the Sage Gateshead, is running the first of our mobility stages. So we observed that there was a lot of very creative activity happening in a kind of localized way all around Europe, but there was nothing that was really tying all of this together. Typically young musicians who are kind of making big impressions on their domestic scene but were experiencing some frustration about getting to the next level. We're going to take this kind of 12 points roadshow after every edition where we have 12 bands. We'll take 3 of those bands and we'll kind of put that on the road for the next year to come.
It seems to me that the existence of 12 points and the way that it works is not only valuable in terms of placing the music in front of the producers and the promoters and the audience that come to see it and hear it, but it's also the exchange between musicians themselves, because the idea that they're meeting each other, talking to each other, enabling that kind of dialogue to happen is really valuable as well. And that's, I think those anything that enables that word to be spread and the opportunities to be found and developed is important.
I started looping and using effects. I was so into the electronic stuff, so I started doing concerts with it. And now I'm doing solo concerts with looping and different acoustic instruments and singing mainly.
Who's all gonna let me hear you blow?
Well, 12 Points was a really nice experience. I got to meet some very nice musicians when I was there in Stavanger. And like Donkey Monkey, we are friends now and we meet here and it's really nice.
So nobody is donkey, nobody is monkey, and everybody is donkey monkey.
Donkey monkey.
Can't you get it to go? Is that about to arrival? No, I don't think so.
Our festival proposition is quite a challenging one for audiences. Effectively, we're saying, come out and hear 12 bands that you've never heard before. And one of the things that we try to convey to young audiences is that this is young musicians just like you from other cities or other urban centres in Europe.
We are very interested in presenting new music always. It's not always the easiest thing to get audiences for or whatever, but we're still committed to it. I think that a respected project like 12 Points and Vice Music Company from Dublin, mean that we know that the processes involved and so on are rigorous, that, what we're going to see is going to be interesting and good quality.
Since we had a chance to play at 12 Points last year, it was last year, we had a lot of more gigs and
in Europe.
Yeah.
There was Meurs Festival, which is very, very big because of 12 Points, and then after Meurs and after all the other European festivals, there were some people at this festival, and it's because it never ends.
There is an increasing sense in Europe of confidence amongst the young players in their own voices. I think there's very much a confidence in people's own music, their own compositions, their own style of playing what in broad terms is jazz, and the opportunities that 12 Points will give to some of the best of those musicians are really, really, really important. And it's an opportunity that people don't get until they're often very much older or more mature in their practice, and 12 Points allows people to get out there with new ideas to other countries very, very early on.
I guess we're jazz musicians, but I don't think we're afraid of opening all the doors to you know, different influences and different styles. You sort of struggling in the practice room and you think to yourself, you know, oh, it's just us trying to get some more gigs and struggle to get in Europe. But there's bands just like us in Germany and France and Italy thinking the same thing.
There's a whole set of criteria that you're told that you need, like you need to have a certain amount of PR or a record release or certain distribution, which when you're a young jazz musician just seems impossible.
What 12 Points might do is it encourages you know, networking with people that you might not meet before, or international contacts in terms of agents and booking promoters that you just wouldn't meet on the local circuit.
One day of playing in Stavanger, and then before you know it, we're meeting all these musicians, we're meeting all these promoters, and we jump straight into that place.
A representative from North Sea was there to check out the bands, and after the gig he came up and said he thought we'd be perfect. And then, you know, 4 months later we find ourselves, you know, so on the same bill as Dave Holland.
The challenge for people working in the field like myself and other colleagues running festivals and things is how we reflect all of that talent that's coming through and how we find a way to connect those artists with audiences, because that's really where the future of the music lies. So really 12 Points is as much a kind of an investment in the future of the music, I think, over the next 10 or 15 years. There's no doubt in my mind that the artists that we're presenting here now within 12 Points, that many of them will go on to be major figures in creative music over the next 20, 30 years.
When I was reading the brochure, it just sounded very varied, and everything that was described sounded completely different from one another, and it just sounded like I'd just get a complete snapshot of the festival really in one go.
I actually didn't know anything about any of the three before I came along, but yeah, totally amazed by the variety and the level of performance as well, like pretty astonishing.
I think it perhaps taught me that there's just so much more jazz out there to hear.
It's been fantastic, the focus of it and the passion in the musicians and the crafting of it is just an astonishing thing for me.
I thought it was brilliant how broad jazz can be, and I think this afternoon kind of really summed it up quite nicely.